Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, when we're working with standard deviation, we're going to be using chi-square distribution, not t. So we're going to stat calculators and we'll open chi-square. I think you're doing part of this correct, but I think you're a little bit confused about when to use alpha and when to use alpha over 2. So when we're using the chi-square calculator, you'll notice here that we're with standard, we're either going to get an area in the left tail or an area in the right tail. If we put less than or equal to here, then what we will do is get a left tail area. So what we would have is if we're doing a left tail test like in part B, we would want to put our alpha value here and our degrees of freedom here, and then we would compute the critical x value, which would show up in this box here. So let's just go ahead and we'll do the first one. So a right tail test with 14 degrees of freedom, alpha is 0.01. So 14 degrees of freedom. Then we have a right tail test, so I'm going to do right tail, and we want to specify alpha as 0.01 and compute. So there we're getting that correct value. We want to round to 3 decimal places, 29.141. So that's what they're getting there. And then of course you can do something similar with the left tail test. You do need to switch the inequality, and you are correct that you'd use n-1, so degrees of freedom will be 20 on part B. Now for part C, what we need to do is realize that we're working with a two-tail test and we want to put half of alpha in each end, and so we're going to work with between here. Now what we do for part C, again we specify degrees of freedom, which would be 23 in this case. And we are not going to type in these x values. Those are the critical x values that will be computed for us. Now, in this particular case, when we're working with, if I hover over this, probability, what we're going to type in here is the area between the two critical values. Now alpha, remember, is the combined area of the two tails. So if we have 0.1 in the tails, that leaves 0.9 in the center. So 0.9 is the area between the two critical values, which leaves 0.1 to split between the left and right tails. When we compute, you can see those values come up. And so when we use between, what we need to remember is we're not typing in alpha or alpha over 2. What we're doing is actually typing in the middle area here, which is 0.9, and you'd use complements to figure that out. I just did 1 minus 0.1 and I got 0.9.